The UK has now opened its borders to some European workers, but it's also restricted workers from other countries. Whilst non-Europeans with certain skills are able to get work permits, the vast majority of people are not. But until the 1980s, most of the UK's economic migrants came from outside of Europe. If you look around, it's not hard to find the evidence of the UK's multicultural past. In the 19th century, thousands of Chinese, Asian and Afro-Caribbean families came to work in East London's booming factories. After World War II, tens of thousands of people came from the Caribbean, India, Pakistan and other former colonies to take up mostly low-paid jobs. As the EU expands and political borders change, inevitably there are those who cross them to work illegally. Perhaps what's surprising is that most of the UK's illegal workers come from Australia. But it's the people from the world's poorer nations that take the greatest risks and are most vulnerable. This is Mustafa. Of course, he doesn't want you to know his real name because he's been living and working illegally in the UK for the past 3 years. Mustafa's also taking a huge risk by agreeing to appear in this film. But he hopes he can challenge some of the misconceptions people have about migrants who work illegally. And one of those misconceptions is that people like Mustafa just want more money for themselves.
Because of the family, I'm doing it. My problem is my family to have a good education. If they have a good education, all of them, then things will be getting easy for me. So when I was at home, obviously I cannot pay a school like a university for my kids. So I'm definitely trying for them. At least 3 or 4 are now in university. The rest are in the high school. Some are in the primary school. So definitely I obviously like, because the little you have here, then it's going to be more in your country. That's why Africans want to be coming to the UK.
Mustafa comes from West Africa, where a government worker, like a teacher, earns less than £1,000 a year. Before he came to the UK, Mustafa worked full-time as a nurse, but ageing relatives and the death of his brother meant he had more than 30 people depending on him for food, housing and clothes. This isn't it, but he and his family lived in a mud-block house with no sanitation. The only safe water came from a well a few hundred metres away. Without enough money to go round, school uniforms and electricity were unaffordable luxuries, and his family often went hungry. Today, most of the images of Africa that Mustafa sees are on the TV in the house where he lives. By renting a room from distant relatives, he's found fairly secure accommodation. But migrants often end up in extremely poor housing or sleeping in the streets. And finding somewhere to live isn't the only challenge that Mustafa and other migrants face.
It's not easy for me to get a job here, because if I don't have working permit, I can't work in this country. I would like to be doing my job as because I'm a nurse. But obviously, really, I can't do my job here because I don't have the working permit.
We can't show you any of the places that Mustafa's worked, but by borrowing national insurance numbers from friends and relatives, he's been able to find low-paid, short-term jobs as a cleaner, in waste disposal and labouring on building sites. But working illegally makes migrants extremely vulnerable, and in many ways, Mustafa's one of the lucky ones.
Often exploitative employers, if you want to call them that, will be, exposing people to take people's kind of documents off them, pay them well below the minimum wage, and expose them to very dangerous situations. And often, in terms of the exploitation, can extend beyond just traditional bad employment into things like sexual exploitation, in terms of prostitution, and in some cases potentially drug dealing.
By using other people's national insurance numbers, Mustafa ends up paying more tax and national insurance than someone employed legally. But he doesn't get any of the benefits, like sick pay or NHS medical treatment.
Yeah, that is another problem for me here because last year I get sick here. Then I have to see somebody to help me to see the doctor as a friend. He just helped me to see the doctor as his GP. So I was lucky to get medicine from those people, and I've been treated as well. Yeah. Are you getting me? Okay. I said something just this morning. I said about 210 for you. Okay, you can go to the place, the same place here. Yeah. You just go there. They'll give you the money. And you have to buy a bag of rice as well. You can buy three. Buy three, yes. You can buy three bags of rice. Yeah.
Despite limited earnings, higher taxes, and not having any rights to healthcare, by living cheaply, Mustafa's been able to send back more than £10,000 to his family over the last 3 years. That's not only paid to educate 12 of his children, but it's also improved 30 people's quality of life by building a new house.
As I told you before, you see, the little I've done when I came to this country, you see, consider this building. I'm the one who built this. When I was at home, I cannot do this before. At least this cost me a lot of money.
Before he came to the UK, Mustafa's family lived in a 3-room mud block house. Recently, his family have sent him a DVD showing the party they're having to celebrate the concrete block house they've built with the money he sent back. They say they'll now be much safer during the heavy seasonal rains.
Well, I definitely feel sad, and I'm still feeling sad for my family. In fact, I used to be calling them, talking about I'd like to be seeing my family. I definitely I don't want to be staying in this country right now, but simply because of the condition, as I said before, that is the financial problem. So obviously, I definitely want to go home back to my country. But my problem is I have a lot of dependence on me. If I go home back, it's another problem for me. So it's getting back to zero again. So that is why I'm still here, but I'm still thinking of my family.
For Mustafa, political borders means he can't be there to join in any of his family's celebrations. If he goes or is deported back to Africa, he knows he can't return to the UK. This video is of the naming ceremony of his first grandchild. But as for many illegal immigrants, the benefits for the future of his family make missing events like this and the personal risks they take more than worthwhile.